Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. At this time, I'd like to remind council, municipal staff, and members of the public in attendance that this electronic public meeting is being live streamed to the public. A video recording of this meeting will be available to the public on the township's YouTube account. I'd like to thank the applicants for their patience and understanding of the need to organize this meeting through the use of technology. The municipality has made every effort to ensure all affected property owners were informed and are able to participate in this planning process. Sue, could you read the note, please?
Yes, one of the purposes of the Planning Act is to provide for planning processes that are open, accessible, timely, and efficient. Accordingly, all written submissions, documents, correspondence, emails, or other communications, including your name and address, form part of the public record and will be disclosed and made available by the municipality to such persons as the municipality sees fit, including anyone requesting such information. Accordingly, in providing such information, you shall be deemed to have consented to its use and disclosure as part of the planning process.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to give the First Nations land acknowledgement now. As we gather today, I would like to acknowledge on behalf of council and our community that we are meeting on the traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We would like to thank the Algonquin people and express our respect and support for their rich history. And we are extremely grateful for their many and continued displays of friendship. We also thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest this morning?
None here.
Okay, I see none. The purpose of our meeting is to hear persons' comments in regards to zoning bylaw amendment application made by the applicant. The applicant is Robert B. Howe and Lynn R. Howe, file number HOW-2022-02. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Larbetsky.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We will continue with item 4.2, page 1, cover letter from the County of Renfrew, dated March the 9th, 2022, explaining the purpose of the amendment. Item 4.3, the County of Renfrew Planning Division Zoning Bylaw Amendment Report to Council, dated March the 9th, 2022. Are there any concerns or comments from Council?
Okay, I don't see any, so please continue.
Thank you. Item number 5. The purpose and effect of the amendment is to rezone a residential property that is 0.886 hectares from highway commercial HC to residential to exception 7 R2-E7 to reflect that the professional office has been relocated off the property and that the building is used as a residence. The exception zone permits a single detached dwelling, semi-detached dwelling on the same lot, duplex, 2-unit dwelling as the only residential uses. So it gives options that it can be a 2-unit dwelling if so desired. Item number 6, report on the application and notice. 6.1, notice of complete application was sent out on March the 10th, 2022. Mind you, it was a day late, but I didn't get the documentation from the county until after 4 on the 9th, which was supposed to be the date that I was supposed to send out the notice, but I had no objections from Mr. Howe receiving it a day late from me. So we'll move on to item 6.2. The notice of application and public meeting were sent out to all affected property owners within 120 meters, which converts to 400 feet of the subject application, and to all public bodies as required on March the 10th, 2022. Item 6.3, notice was posted on the subject property on March the 10th, 2022. Moving on to item number 7, notice to public bodies, written responses and or telephone messages. 7.1, email response on March the 10th from Ontario Power Generation Inc. They had no comments or concerns with the application. Item 7.2 was from the French Public School Board, and that email was dated March 31st, 2022, and there were no comments or concerns either. And moving on to item number 8, written comments. I did not receive any. Item number 9, verbal report on general or telephone inquiries and or attendances at the municipal office. 9.1, telephone call on March the 16th, 2022 from Christina Polbetsky. She received the notice and was concerned that it referenced the same lot as her property. Once I explained it to her, she had no concerns with the amendment. Item 9.2, telephone call on March the 24th, 2022 from Joseph Edmansky and Dwayne Rikuski. Received the notice as I guess he is the beneficiary of the estate of Peter Rumleski, and the property is within the 200-meter circumference of the subject application. And once I explained what the effect was, there were no concerns or comments. And having said that, I will turn it back over to you, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Larbetsky. So are there any oral or written presentations by those in attendance? And I see, Mr. Howe, you appear to be the only one in attendance. So I just wondered if you wanted to speak to the application.
You're muted, Mr. Howe.
Yeah. Internet is very slow this morning.
Yes, there.
Sorry about that. I was muted. Anyway, just very quickly, the office has moved and are living. So, and the property is a large building, 103 square, impact the original be and just to party of that possibly in proposes the R2 zoning. So I identify essentially down zone S, and I would hope the council would see fit to approve it.
Okay, thank you. Perhaps if you turned your camera off, it'll make your internet a little easier for us to understand what you're saying, because it's really breaking up. I'm sorry. And at the moment, it's almost frozen. That sometimes helps.
Now go off the video. That helps.
Okay, try again, please. I'm sorry about that.
Are you speaking to me, Madam Mayor?
Yeah, yes, I am. Now we can understand you. It was so choppy before, we were only getting the odd word. So I apologize, but could you possibly repeat what you said?
Certainly. I turned off my video in case that might help. Anyway, it's obvious reaction to the move of the office and laws down, and we continue by this. Lynn and I, as a resident, we've looked at an R2 zoning just to create the same opportunity, the possibility of turning it into, at least adding a second dwelling unit, because the property is large and the building is 3,143 square feet, so it's big enough to do that. No immediate plans to do that. And again, we'd hope that the council would see fit to approve the amendment.
Okay, thank you very much. That did help. Council was able to understand your comments, so that's fantastic. I guess with that, we'll move to questions, discussion by council. Are there any questions or discussion? Okay, Councillor Poplinski.
Yes, thanks, Mayor Love. I think just a brief word, and I think it's a very worthy change, and more housing in the area is welcomed, and I would support this venture. Okay,
thank you. Any other members of council? Okay. I did just have one question, maybe perhaps Mr. Lerbesky can answer. Does the R2E7 limit the 2 dwelling units to a shared well and septic, or are they able to have 2 separate wells and septics?
As Mr. Howe, thank you, Madam Mayor. As Mr. Howe stated, the property is large enough that should the requirement be there, there is feasibility for that. And I think just knowing the property and the system that is there, it was able to function as a law office, which had numerous employees. So I think the system is large enough and the water capacity is there as well. But maybe Mr. Howe can just confirm that. Thank you.
I understood the planning report to mean that if there were 2 units, they would be served by the one existing well and septic system.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to check because if you had an expectation that there would be 2 wells and 2 septic, I wanted to be certain that that was allowed. But if your plan is to use the same well and septic, then I have absolutely no concerns. I just wanted to make sure that this was going to meet your expectations.
Yes,
So,
I think so. The planning report says the official plan permits 2 dwelling units on a lot that is greater than 0.8 hectares, provided that they share the same water and septic services. And certainly, when I came to this property 40 years ago, there was about 10 people, a family of 5, and about 5 law office staff. And certainly in recent before the law office left, again, we were up to about that number because of the number of employees in the office. Although.
okay, thank you. Yes, I don't have a concern. I just wanted to make sure that if you did have plans to make a separate second dwelling unit with a separate well and septic, that there wouldn't be any requirement that suddenly cropped up that you weren't aware of. So that answers my question. Perfectly happy. Any other comments, questions from council? I'm not seeing any. I'll turn it over to Mr. Lerbesky to take us through the next bit.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Item number 12 is the draft copy of the proposed bylaw, which will be presented to council later today for consideration. And
Okay.
the amendment is to rezone from highway commercial to an R2 exception 7.
Okay, thank you. And Sue, if you could read the notification, and I do believe you have a comment to make after the notification.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council is also required by section 34:14.5 to inform the public at the public meeting of who is entitled to appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal under sections 34:11 and 19 as follows. Section 34:11, if council decides to refuse an application or refuses or neglects to make a decision on an application within 90 days of the municipal clerk receiving the application, the applicant or the Minister of Municipal Affairs may appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal by filing an appeal with the clerk of the municipality. Section 34:19, not later than 20 days after the giving of notice of the passing of the bylaw, the applicant, any person or public body who made oral submissions at the public meeting or made a written submission to council before the bylaw was passed, or the Minister of Municipal Affairs, may appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal by filing an appeal with the clerk of the municipality.
Okay, thank you. Just Mr. Howe, just so you're aware, this will be before council later today. So we will be looking at the bylaw at that point. And Sue, you had a comment to make.
I did. I thought it behooves us, and it should be noted that this public meeting is Mr. Lerbesky's last public meeting presentation. And I think it's very befitting and actually almost eerie that this particular rezoning is to rezone Mr. Howe's business to residential, where Silas was a valued employee for Mr. Howe. So it just amazed me that when I looked at it this morning, it just seemed cosmic that this be his I'm actually emotional. Yeah, I thought it was interesting. So I thought, I'm not sure if you felt the same, Mr. Howe.
Well, I think it is.
Oh, we're losing it again. I'm sorry. Okay, so you'd have to turn off your video again, Mr. Howe, because we just aren't getting enough of the stream. Go ahead.
Well, I just said very quickly that I think it is an interesting coincidence, and that Silas and I have plans to go bicycle riding together in May.
There you go. He's already got plans for what he's going to do in the future. Silas, you have been an astounding employee. You have helped us through so many planning issues. It is inconceivable that this is our last public meeting together. I don't know how we got to here, but I really do hope that going forward, you can enjoy your retirement and people aren't stopping you when you're bicycling by to say, how can I get a severance, or what do I do about my zoning? But I bet they will.
We'll just have to pedal a lot faster.
You will.
But
Anyways,
it is-
congrats.
Thank you. I'll just make this quick comment. It's very ironic that this came full circle. And I remember the day Mr. Howe walked into the office, and actually he walked in the door where my office was located. So I remember it very distinctly. And the comment he made to me was the welcome he got to Barry's Bay. Mr. Salt had put his name at the Value Mart as he drove into town. So yeah, what a wonderful addition to Barry's Bay. Thanks, Bob.
Well, it was a wonderful welcome, and I've thoroughly enjoyed being here and plan to stay. I consider it my home now, and the community was very welcoming, and I've always appreciated it.
Fantastic. It is nice to see this come full circle for both of you gentlemen, and I hope you enjoy the cycling together. Anyways, with that, I'd better draw this meeting to a close. So I'm going to basically declare the meeting closed. Everyone, we will see you in the next meeting. And thank you, Mr. Howe.
Okay.